Okay, welcome back. So, just a quick one today about the short story, I suppose, of a donor car. I found this car. Now, it was a lot more complete than this, than you see in the picture there. I found it probably last year, but it was like 2 hours away, and it was in a scrapyard, and I thought, oh, it's probably completely rotten. So I never thought anything more of it. And then just the more and more I thought of it earlier, or toward the end of last year, I thought, I'll ring the place and see. And lo and behold, they still had it. Now, when I saw the picture, it was a complete car. Every single thing was in it, and it looked pretty tidy. But as you can see in the picture, there's a wing mirror missing, there's a corner light missing, indicator missing, headlight missing, the grille. When I rang the guy, he said there was a few other bits missing. The entire exhaust was gone off it. There was no radiator, there was no steering column, there was no clocks. But other than that, it was a complete car. So it must have been, I imagine, a fairly high spec model. As you can see, you can kind of tell there it has a sunroof, which is electric, obviously. It had heated mirrors. It had, if you zoom in, now they were broken in a bunch of pieces, but right there in the middle of your screen, you'll see headlight washers on both sides. It also had, you can see along just by the wing, you can see a pinstripe. Some of them had a pinstripe. It had cruise control. It was an injection engine. Had rear disc brakes. It had front and rear anti-roll bars. Fairly high spec model, I would imagine, in its day at least anyway. So short version of the story, I sent a friend of mine up just before Christmas to go and pick it up, and no issues at all. I got it for it was either 200 or 250. I can't remember for sure, which is a lot for, a shell. But let me show you why I need a shell, or needed that shell. These are the back doors of the white car, and they've been like this since I bought the car. I knew they were really rotten, and I always thought, oh, maybe it's the kind of thing that could be fixed. But because I never really opened the back doors or anything, I never really took any notice of just how bad they were until I was stripping them apart. So, there was nothing left there. Well, that curved piece of frame there that you see is is where the quarter window would sit, and when you closed that door, at its thinnest point there at the bottom, where you can see, if you just gave that a good push, or the whole thing would have fallen apart. So that was the inside of the same door. It was absolutely red rotten. And the back door at the passenger side was the same, or not as bad, but definitely getting there. And there'd be no fixing that. It would be impossible. And of course, because there's so few of these cars in the country, I took a gamble buying that one, hoping that the doors would be in better condition. All I ever really needed was doors. I never really needed anything else, because I'd scrapped a car before, or gone to a guy who was scrapping a car and took loads of panels off it and stuff, but never even thought to take the doors off that one. Not that it matters, I suppose, but that's why I needed the donor car. So I got very lucky, and the doors on that car, I couldn't believe it. They're absolutely perfect. There's no rot anywhere, literally anywhere, in comparison to what you see there. They're almost like new. It was amazing. So some of the things I got from the car, that are good things. Oh yeah, look at that's another really horrible spot. There would be absolutely no, look at that, there's no fixing that. But anyway, so some of the good things I got from that car was a lovely brand new, well, not brand, obviously not brand new, but very, very good condition back window. No scratches in it, obviously no cracks or anything like that. It's in really, really good shape. So what you see there in that picture is me just kind of building a frame for it. I got a friend of a friend to come and take the front and back windows out of it, and I was building a frame to put that back glass into, to bring it down to my friend Sean's place down in Milltown. Shout out to Sean. And that one went fine into the box, no problem. Built a grand box around it, brought it down to his place. It's in storage there for a while, just in case I ever need it. Hopefully I won't, but because you can still get front windows, but back windows I don't think you can get. So at least I have one spare one there. Now this is one of my favorite things, is a complete rear disc swap. I was gonna take just the hub and the disc and the bearing and stuff like that, but it was actually easier to just take the two bolts out of the subframe. We one just two on either side of where the jack is there, and up at the trailing arm carrier. So just whizzed down them, pulled the shocks out of it, and took the entire thing, handbrake cables and everything, because the handbrake cable is different in a disc car than it is a drum car. So that was pretty sweet. It was all in good shape too. I mean, the calipers were seized, but like that's to be expected, you know. I can either rebuild them, or you can get a pair of calipers online that have been rebuilt for, I think it's like 100, maybe €150, something like that. It's not a big deal. Now, I did last summer rebuild the drums, like all new hardware, all new, like new shoes, new wheel cylinders, even new drums, everything. So I'm not going pulling all that apart to put in the disc stuff. But if I, you know, when the day comes, it'll be a pretty straightforward swap. Not that it really makes any difference, but I guess it'd just be cool points to be able to say that I have it. So it's in decent condition. Pretty nice and tidy, nothing too special. So, also took the roof off it, as you can tell. It was getting down to kind of time to get rid of it, because it sat there over the Christmas and New Year's, and it had been sitting there for about maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I'd say, if not a bit more. So I just thought I'll take every single thing I can off it. So that included the roof. So I'd never cut a roof off a car before. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was cool. I thought I had footage of it, but I don't, unfortunately. But you get the idea. I also took the entire front sill. Now, the sills at the front of mine are absolutely fine, but they weren't really bad on this, but they weren't fantastic either. But at the very least, they'll help me, even if all I do is like strip them apart to kind of see how it's put together. That should help me tidy up the rear sills on the white car. So that was worthwhile, I think, as well. I also, you can't see it there obviously because it's gone, but that little blank spot of chassis leg there in the middle of your screen, and the same this side, is where the radiator support would have been. That's the bit you would have seen me fixing up in the first fab video or welding video. So it was a very sorry state of a car when it was finished. Like, it would have been great if it had been, you know, because I had genuinely considered, like, when that arrived, if it was in a decent or at least better condition, you know, sills and arches wise, than the white car, I would have just reshelled the white car and painted that. But I mean, you can't really make it out in the pictures, but you know, the arches were, well, you can kind of see it there. I guess you can see where the inner arches were rotten. I just cut the quarter just to see what they were like. The rear sill was absolutely destroyed as well. So what you might notice in this one is the entire like what I call the donor piece that houses the back lights and the boot latch and stuff like that. So I cut all of that out because I needed donor pieces for the white car. That's, oh yeah, you can kind of see there's literally nothing left of the back arches, or the back sills, I mean, sorry. So what else? Let's see. Oh yeah, just then off it goes, bye after the scrapyard. So it was worthwhile, I think. There was a lot of messing, pulling things out of it, and you know, but oddly enough, every single bolt came out of it. You know, nothing broke. It was in really good shape. It was an English car originally, so that might explain why it had been so kind of, like, because it was absolutely red rotten in the front. But let me show you some of the other stuff that I got. I've got these 5 big containers full of essentially everything, basically every single thing. Like, I stripped pretty much everything off it. Every, you know, like every little, I pulled every bit of relay out of it, every little, say, 10mm bolt that was an earth point, or I took connectors from just random places, because if I ever have to wire in stuff, say like the air compressor for example, I'm going to strip off what I have put together and put an OE style plug in it, just things like that. So you can't really, I'm not going digging through all these boxes now to show you, but I've boxes of bolts, I've boxes of rubber trim, boxes of plastic trim, every little thing you can see, spare seat belts, there's window rags, there's the entire fuse box. This one has basically all the interior stuff. There's all the door handles, all the latches, some trim, factory radio. This one is all just boxes and boxes of bolts and switches, and that's the same there for that one. You can see I have door seals, boot seals, shock forks, boxes of bolts, lights, front lights, loads and loads and loads of stuff in those boxes, which is great. And then up here, obviously I'm not going to dig through all that, but I've got some, as you can see, where is it? Right there. There's all the chrome trim around the doors, around the boot, stuff like that. That's where these donor panels would have come from. and this front sills that are there, which aren't in great shape, but I might be able to do something with them. Just loads of spares like that, so it's just handy to have things like that, you know, in case you ever need them. Because you never know with a car like this that's so rare, at least over here anyway, or in Europe it seems anyway, but definitely in Ireland. It's always good to have spares of every single little thing you can find. So with that in mind, that was the whole reason for the donor car. So as well as that, you'll also see up here I have a spare set of front wings. I have the OE mud guards. Now I don't really like mud flaps on cars, but you never know, might put them on. A spare dash, center console, whatever you want to call it. Now that's actually out of a different car that I broke 3 or 4 years ago. But another set of front wings there, which aren't in fantastic shape. That one's quite rusty, but not too big of a deal. Spare wiper arms I have up there as well somewhere. Is this one here is a front bumper. Set of the factory, you wouldn't call them side skirts, but like that black side molding, bumper reinforcement and bumper hanger bars. Also in my cousin's shed next door, I have that entire rear disc setup that you would have seen. There is a bonnet, there is a couple of spare doors. This will have been the second donor car now that I've had and broken for parts. Just the other one wasn't actually at my house, like, so I didn't have a chance to take my time. I had to just do it all in a day, but I do have some spare doors. I have another bootlet, so I have something like 3 bootlets for it now with 3 bonnets. I had 3 sets of doors, but as you can see now, I have put the doors there onto this. Obviously the donor car was silver and my own car is white, so they'll have to be painted at some point. But those doors are in really, really good condition. You would have seen why I had to use those. But other than that, also up in the attic in my house, I have an entire black and grey interior. Now, I'm not really, I don't mind the black and grey interior. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of cool looking. It's very Japanese, I suppose, because you always see Japanese cars come with the black and grey interior. But I really like the brown and beige interior of mine. I think it goes well with the white and that kind of retro or style kind of. But in the attic, I do have all the seats, all the door cards. I have the center console, I have the carpet, I have everything, the package tray cover, that grey bit of trim. I have the headliner, I have the entire sunroof tray, everything, every single thing for the interior, the pillars, sun visors, every single thing. So I essentially have probably 1.5 entire cars worth of spares, just except for the shells. The one thing I kind of wish I had taken out of the donor car was the gearbox, but just I wasn't that fucking bothered with it. You know, it's not that big of a deal to have a gearbox refurbed if you really have to, and how it's a rare thing that you'd have to do it anyway, unless you're being a dog driving a car rough. But other than that, that might be about it for this one. So it was just a quick little update more than anything. So that's about it, and we'll see you again soon.